Hello world, those that have ears, let them hear. Family, never stop desiring the things that you already have. Let's say it again. You should never stop desiring the things that you already have. Why do I say that? There was a certain disposition that you had prior to obtaining the things that you now have, right? You know, that home that you now live in, the car that you now drive, the spouse that you're now married to, you know, the children that you now have, right? Before you obtain these things, right, there was a certain drive, there was a certain, ambition, there was a certain level of vigor, there was a methodical means of positioning yourself to obtain that thing. You carried yourself a certain way. You did the right thing, financially a certain way, right? In order to obtain that home or that vehicle. You positioned yourself and got your credit in order to obtain that vehicle or whatever it was, right? You positioned yourself to become a father or a mother, right? There was certain characteristics that you took on and you were putting on display, right? Because you desired to achieve a thing. You had an end goal in mind, right? And what often happens is, family, we stop desiring the things that we already have because we have them, right? Who would continue to desire a thing when you already have it, right? In other words, it's easy to forget. It's easy to neglect things once you obtain them, and to lose the vigor and the way that you carried yourself and the disposition that you had prior to achieving or obtaining whatever it is that you were trying to obtain, right? That goal. Oftentimes what we see is I positioned myself to get that car that I wanted, but then I didn't do the tire rotations. I didn't change the oil, right? I didn't change the fluids in the car, right? There's a certain level of viscosity in oil, right? That keeps the engine running smoothly. You know, if you don't change your brake fluid and it becomes contaminated, then what happens? Your brakes begin to malfunction because it is now contaminated, right? Because you weren't what? You weren't treating it as if you did not already have it. So you began to neglect that thing, right? That home that you live in, right? You had to position yourself to as a credit worthy person for that bank to give you that loan to obtain that home, right? Then oftentimes what happens? We neglect our homes. They begin to rot, right? You don't manicure them. You don't take care of them. You don't give them attention that is needed to keep the home beautified, right? And things go astray, right? Same thing with that marriage. There was a certain way you looked. You know, there was a certain energy. There was a certain way you carried yourself. You always were putting your best foot forward. You always said the right things. You always dressed the right way. You always took care of yourself the right way, right? But then you obtain that thing, and what happens? Oftentimes, people forget, man, by not continuing to desire the very thing that they already have. Because what happens? Oftentimes in life, people obtain a thing and then they get bored, right? This is what happens, family. They get that thing. It's like they achieved it, they got it. Now I can just kind of just kick back, right? But what happens when we neglect our cars? Our cars neglect us. If you don't routinely change the oil, the engine breaks down. If you don't routinely check the battery, if you don't routinely check the alternator, if you don't routinely check the starter, these things are necessities in order for each time that you get in that vehicle, you can almost assure that when you turn that ignition or you push that button, that car is going to fire up. And it's going to take you to where it needs to take you because you took care of that thing, right? You continuously stayed in a position or a mindset of, I'm going to treat this thing as if I don't already have it. So family, that is one of the keys to life, man. You always have to remember to have the same vigor, the same energy, right? The same level of pursuit that you had prior to ever having that thing, even when you already have it. Otherwise, it becomes contaminated and things break down because you're neglecting the thing simply off of the philosophy or the mindset, well, I have it now. Now I don't have to do all that I once did because I already have it. I already went through that phase. But what happens is things break down, family. Things break down when you don't routinely maintenance a thing, right? Family, I hope this blessed you. Colossians 3:2, set your affection on things above, not on the things of this earth. Philippians 2:5, let this mind be in you that was also in Christ Jesus. Hebrews 12:14, make every effort to live in peace with everyone and to be holy. Without holiness, no one will see the God in you, family. So family, remember that, man. Stay in a position of ambition, of drive, of vigor, and really truly understand what it means not to neglect a thing. Because the Bible tells us, family, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And it's no different when it comes to things. If you treat your car right and you take care of it, it will take care of you. Family, stay blessed.